exercise activity that I did for New York when I was there. And it's a 3/4 of an hour flow. So if you're stuck on something, wave at me, but I think everything on this one should be familiar. It's basically a sort of a quick revise of TTO and OTT. And then if we've got time, we'll then go into some floor work and do something else. But I think this will just sort of help us all, you know, get back together again and get back in the swing. So let's start by standing up and standing on your mat or wherever you're. We won't be lying down for this one. So just if I put the mic over here, can you all hear me all right?
Yeah. Yes.
So let's start by finding vestibular directions. Up, down, and front, back, and side, side. Just knowing those lines that you're standing on. Up, down, and front, back, and side, side. And letting them all expand. And then finding your nose feather. Going out across the room to what you're seeing. And just letting the eye brush around things. Taking in the colors and the textures. And the contours and the light and the shade. Letting the eye track side to side and out and back again, and letting that feather start right from the back of the head. So it comes right to the back of the head. So you get a sense of the head. Hi, Carolina.
Hello.
We've just begun, Carolina. We're just doing some nose feather. Just seeing from the back of the head. Being aware that the whole space of the room is around you. And then there's the specific that you're seeing, taking in the detail, allowing it, receiving it across the space. And let's just play for a moment with the nodding joint, just finding that the nodding joint under the ear, and that the center of gravity is actually just behind the cheekbone. So up just at this point. So that if the raindrop rolls, this is the point, this upper finger is the point that the head will roll around. And that actually puts a stretch on the neck. So just exploring that this forwards and up, this rotation forwards and up, that the head will do. If we give consent, it doesn't just nod forwards, it nods forwards and up. And being aware of that, putting a lengthening stretch up the whole back line of the body, lengthening the occiput up, lengthening the neck up, lengthening the erector spinae, even lengthening the legs. And just do a bit more nose feather, maybe up and down from that consciousness. Maybe taking the line forwards and back from that consciousness that it's nodding. Although that the pivot is between the ears, the fulcrum, the point it moves around is actually higher up. It's the center of gravity. So that the head is always going forwards and up. Even when it's nodding downwards, there's still a forwards and up element to it. And even when it tips up, there's still that forwards and up element to it, even when it tips up. And then being aware of your breath. Hello, Elizabeth. We've just begun. Just being aware of the breath flowing in and out. And your mind is in the brain, it's out of the way. The messages are coming up to you from the breathing. That the rib cage will expand on the in-breath just because it will expand, and the ribs will drape down on the out-breath. And then if we do a slightly longer out-breath, we will get a deepening down the spine, maybe a widening into the back. Just being aware of that elastic recoil. On the in-breath and on the out-breath, the ribs drape down. Everything widens on the in-breath and then releases out on the out-breath. And if we then make that pause, that deepening pause on the out-breath, it will widen a bit lower down the body on the in-breath. Just letting the body find its natural elasticity from the inside. Before we begin to find it from the outside, we're finding it from the inside, from the eyes coming present and finding their own elastic relationship with the head, as it were, or the head's elastic relationship with the vision, one could call it. The breath's elastic relationship with the body. Just leaning forwards a little bit with your hands on your back, just to encourage that widening of the back. That's it. And being aware that that then will widen right down to the pelvic floor. Right into the depths of us, and even right down the legs. Just coming up again gently while keeping that sense of connection to the legs and being aware of the breath widening the pelvic girdle. And even coming in through the perineum and going out down the legs. That sense of the breath just coming into the lower body as if it comes in through the bottom and then going out, pouring down the legs like water down drain pipes. So the breath is connecting right down to the base of us and right down to the floor even. Just checking that your feet are aligned with the big toes slightly inwards from the line of the heels. The heels are under the hips. And just, let's find that upline up the back of the legs. Just lift one heel. And then as you lower it again slowly, you're thinking up the heel, up the Achilles, up the lower calf, middle calf, upper calf, knee, lower thigh, middle thigh, upper thigh, across the bum and up to the sacrum. And then the other leg, you're just lifting the heel. And then again, just placing it, lowering it slowly, thinking up the heel, Achilles, lower calf, middle calf, upper calf, knee, lower thigh, middle thigh, upper thigh, across the bum and to the sacrum. And the first leg again, just lifting the heel, thinking that upline, up the heel, the Achilles, the calf, back of the knee, thigh, across the bum up to the sacrum. Being aware of those legs lengthening up. And the second leg again, lifting the heel, And lowering it slowly, thinking up the heel, the Achilles, calf, tender, the knee, thigh, up the bum and to the sacrum. And then being aware of that streaming up. And now finding your elbows. Just sending that on the breath. Letting the elbows just float out as if they're being pulled by strings, outwards and forwards and down. Being aware of them moving with the breath, shoulder blades opening, the back opening, the hands are facing backwards. Just having that sense of the back opening and the deep back line of the arms opening. And find T8 between the base of the shoulder blades. And being aware now of that up line streaming up the back of the legs and right the way up to T8. So let's let the eyes lead now that we've widened the shoulders. Let the eyes lead round to the right. And when the head has reached its full extension, its full turn, let the back shoulder join in so that the upper body twists, but the hips stay pointing forwards. Just the upper body turns. So we're using this twist of the rib cage at the rib cage. And then when you're at full twist, let the eyes turn back, but the shoulders stay on the angle, and then let the shoulders turn back again. So we're really isolating the neck from the rib cage. Does that make sense? Just letting the eyes come around to the left, take the head into full extension, and then the back shoulder joins in. We're not leading with the front shoulder because then we'd tip backwards. We're leading with the back shoulder, but the hips stay facing forwards. And then the eyes come back to the left, but leaving the shoulders where they are, and then let the shoulders come back front. And this time we're going to take the eyes around to the right, the head follows, and then the shoulders follow, and then the hips follow, and the last of all is the ankles, so that if you're lucky you can see right round behind you. And then let it all untwist, the head leading first, and then the shoulders, and then the hips, and then the ankles. And coming around to the left, the eyes lead, then the shoulders, and then the hips, and finally the ankles. And again, just let it untwist. The eyes, and then the shoulders, and the hips, and the ankles. One more time. Just the eyes, shoulders, the hips, and the ankles. The eyes leading back. The shoulders untwisting. The hips and the ankles. Eyes leading to the left. Shoulders, hips, and ankles. Eyes leading back. Shoulders, hips, and ankles. And now leading into a monkey. So just finding that rotation again around, not just letting the head drop forwards, but letting it rotate around that point behind the cheekbones so that the head lengthens forwards and up and that draws us into a slight monkey. And we can just go a little deeper, led by the eyes. And then up again, the eyes tracking up, but the line from the back of the head to the ceiling is also what takes us up again. And again, the eyes lead down to take the head into extension, but the head rotates forwards and up around that center of gravity point, draws us into the monkey. We can go a little lower, looking between the legs, and then we can come up again. And the anti-gravity line, that line from the occiput away from the heels back up to the ceiling, and the eyes track. And we're just finding our bend. And this time we're going to go down again. The eyes lead, the head rotates forwards and up at the center of gravity. The leading into the monkey, going into a deeper monkey, and when we're there, doing the twist again. So the eyes lead around to the right, and then the shoulders, and then back again. The eyes leading back and the shoulders coming back, and then going the other way. The eyes. So for the moment, the hips stay level, and then coming down, back to level, and then coming up again. Occiput leads to extend the legs back up. The legs don't push, the legs are just drawn up because the top of the occiput leads. And again, just letting the eyes lead into the monkey. Letting it draw us down into the monkey. Right, a deep monkey. And then letting the eyes lead around. And then the shoulders. And then let the hip, the right hip, go as well this time, so that you can look up at the ceiling, maybe. And then let it all come back to level. And going the other way, letting the eyes lead round, and then the shoulder, and then the hips. So we can look right behind us. And maybe doing that one more time, and this time taking an arm with it. The eyes lead, the shoulder, the hip, and we can extend an arm to the ceiling and back again. And then again the other way, the eyes, the shoulder, the hip, and we can open out the arm. And back again. And then the occiput leads up to come up. And from there, let's just find that elastic bounce. So we've got that up line up the heels, up to T8, and it's T8 that goes up and down, and the bum that goes down, T8 that goes up. And you can just take that into a gentle bounce if you're up for bouncing. And if you're not, then maybe just do a tiny little bounce on the heels. If needed, the heels don't have to come off, or even the toes. If you're shy of bouncing, then just take it very, very gently. Do what you can do on that one. And let's check as you're bouncing that there's an upflow, the breath flows down and wide, and then on the out breath, it flows up. And you might want to take that with the arms, but as the breath goes down, the arms might want to come up. And as the breath comes up again, the arms might want to come down. So just being aware of the in-breath connecting right down to the perineum on your bounce, and the out-breath connecting up and out through the eyes. You don't have to take the heels off, the toes off if you don't want, just do a bounce in the heels. And now taking that bounce into a monkey, just bouncing down into the monkey and bouncing up again. So, and bouncing, for those who want to go down into a squat, can do so. And bouncing up again if you can. So let's just find the pelvic spine, the iliac spines coming back. So widening to the front of the back of the hips, widening the back of the hips, widening the transverse abdominals, and sitting bones to the back of the knees and pubicoccygeals forwards, And maybe just find it with a 3 as we do the elbows as well. 1, 2, 3. And just breathing with it for a moment. And finding your sesamoids, the ball of the big toe, and then just coming up, and then up, and down, and down. So we're coming up on the left foot comes onto tiptoe, and then we come onto tiptoe with both feet, and then the left heel drops down, but the right heel stays up, and then the right heel drops down. Other way round, so this time the right heel leads up onto tiptoe, right heel drops down, but left stays up, and left goes down. Being aware again of keeping the iliacs back, hamstrings to the sit bones to the back of the knees and pubicoccygeals forwards, and let's have a go at that again. The left heel comes up, coming up onto tiptoe on both feet. The left heel goes down, but the right one stays up, and then the right one goes down, keeping that tone so that you're aware of the hamstrings working and the adductors working. Right heel comes up onto tiptoe on both feet. Right heel goes down, but left heel stays up, and then left heel comes down. Being aware not to sickle the ankles. One more go, just to have a go, see if you can get it up with the left heel, up onto tiptoe with both feet. Left heel goes down, and you're really working the feet here. We're not just dropping at any point. Right heel goes down, and right heel comes up, both onto tiptoe. Right heel goes down, and left heel goes down. So we get a lovely sustained movement between the feet. So just finding that lateral movement of the ankle, finish on the inside, and then being aware of the medial ankle coming up and back. That's screwing the ankle motion. Just finding that and coming up onto tiptoe on both legs. And down again. Keeping that screwing of the ankle going. Again, just be aware of iliacs back, hands, sit bones to the back of the knees, pubicoccygeals forwards, elbows out, screwing the ankle up and back in order to bring you onto the tiptoe. And coming down in the same way, keeping it all going, keeping the screwing the ankle up and back, which will bring the heels back in alignment. Alex, I'm wondering if your feet are creeping together. That's it, just screwing the ankle up and back to bring the heels up onto tiptoe, and continuing to screw the ankles up and back to bring this sustained. How slowly can you go down? That's it, how slowly can you go down? Keeping those feet aligned. So let's have the pelvic lifts. Just finding your book, if you've all got a book to put down. Both legs are straight. And then finding gluteus medius on the side of the foot that's on the book, and sending that to work to lift the other foot up. So the side of the body goes up, that's the leg, the side of the hip goes down, the side of the body comes up, being aware of that, the hip going down, the side of the body coming up. And because you're also keeping connection through to the sesamoids, then there's not a great sway over onto the left, but this is stabilizing through the hips. The adductors and sesamoids are working the inside of the leg, and the lift you can perhaps feel right the way up the front of the belly. That's lovely. And then use the other foot And again, the hips, gluteus medius presses down, everything. The legs both stay straight. And we're working the stabilizers of the foot that's on the book, keeping through the sesamoids so that we don't tip to the side, being aware of the side of the body lifting up right to the armpit, maybe right up into the neck, but the shoulder stays level. Keeping the breathing going. That's it. And you can even do it with one hand up on that side, just letting the whole arm extend on that side of the body. Being aware of the breathing with that. But again, that extending of the side of the body opens the rib cage. As if you're stretching up to pick grapes or something. And maybe do it the first side again, use the arm this time. Being aware of that stretch right up under the armpit. Lovely. And now let's bounce using the being aware of that iliac spines, pubococcygeals, hamstrings at the back of the knees, elbows, and the sesamoids, keeping the inside of the legs engaged, and the hip stabilizers on the outside, and see whether you can bounce stronger and higher than you could a few minutes ago. And breathing, being aware of sacrum to T8. Just being aware of sacrum to T8. And let's take that now into a lunge. So once you've got your bounce going, so we're just, before we lunge, just check that the foot can bounce us back up. So if you step back, it's those sesamoids that will send you back up. So just finding that movement first. You're stepping back on the back foot and using that, the sesamoids and the arch of the foot to send you forwards again, keeping the stabilizers engaged, keeping your iliacs back, sit bones to the back of the knees, pubococcygeals forwards. And once you've found that, we can go back into a lunge and then step forwards and step back. And let's just do the other foot then. So just finding that bounce first, finding the stability of it through into the big toe, not letting it go onto the outside of the foot. And once you've found that, going into the full lunge and back again. And now let's alternate legs, back and up, and down and up. Keeping the stability through the iliac spines, hamstrings to the back of the knees, pubococcygeals. The side of the body is staying stable. The big toes are staying engaged. And for those who are up to it, you can do a twist over the front leg. The twist of the upper body over the front leg. The hips stay going forwards. And then let's go forwards. So let's find that bounce on the front foot. So same thing, we're just lunging forwards and then pressing up in the toes. It's the toes sending us up. That's it. Everybody's got that. That's it. And try the other foot. Just finding that press up of the, so again, the whole body is coming forward in one piece because the iliacs are staying back. So there's no heaviness in it. And then you can go into the lunge and up and lunge and up. And there's a lightness in it that comes out of the spring from the feet, the stability from the hips, the stability from the iliacs and the hamstrings, pubicoccygeals, the elbows staying forwards. And if you're up for it, put a twist over the front leg. It's a bit harder to keep the spring going. Okay, so let's find the squat. So we're going to start with the monkey. So just finding that iliac spines, that rotation of the head around the center of gravity, which brings that lengthening up and over. The iliacs come back, so we can go into that monkey where we do not let the knees come forward. And the back of the T8 draws us back up again. So just having another go at that one. But just to start with, finding that the raindrop rolls, the head rotates forwards and up, iliacs come back strongly, pulling the hips behind the knees, the thighs are pulled up and back. And once you've found that, the knees haven't gone forwards. And now let the iliacs carry on going back and up, and that takes you down as far as you can into the squat without losing your alignment. If you lose the alignment, don't go any further. So just take your time. And again, start by finding that rotation of the head forwards and up off the pivot. The eyes lead us into the monkey. The iliacs pull back. The hamstrings stay engaged. And then we let the iliacs come further back and then lengthening up off the ankles. Lengthening up off the ankles will allow you to drop finally down into the squat. Take your time. Do it a few more times. Take it coming from first principles each time. Lengthening up the front of the body as well. T8 is lengthening up as we come up. The top of the sternum stays up as we come forward. Nothing is dropping down at any point. The body is going down in space, but absolutely everything is streaming up at every moment. So, and just finding that pelvic floor breathing for a moment. That's it. And let's do a bit of heron walking, of just taking a step onto one leg, bring the other foot up like a heron, and everything is staying stable in the hip. And then I can take a step and again stabilize on the other leg. And step and stabilize. And step and stabilize. And because I've got the stability, then I can actually choose where that foot's going to go and do a weight transfer across onto it, that inside of the knee coming out, coming forwards and come up into the heron again. And then choose where that leg's going to go and doing a weight transfer, the back of the knee coming forwards, the adductors working, and then coming back up into the heron. And again, just the foot, choosing where the foot's going to go, placing the heel and then sending the inside of the knee away, the adductors working, everything is broadening. Here stays stable as we come up. And again, just the leg can choose where to go, forwards, backwards, sideways, sending that inside knee away to get that weight transfer and coming back up to the heron. And let's step backwards with it. Stepping back, weight transfer backwards, which is a slightly different move, and then coming back up. Everything is light. The body is lengthening up because the iliac, because the gluteus medius and the top of the glutes are engaged. And that's supporting the torso up and off the body, up and off the hips, so that we've got lovely lightness in this whole movement. It's got weight and it's got lightness. And then this time you could dive under a fence as you do it and then come up again. So you could dive under your fence and come up again. And dive under your fence. So we're coming forwards with an active hip fold. We're coming forwards from the psoas and dive under the fence and come up again. And taking that just into some walking where the stance leg is stable and the back and the swing leg is free to move, and then it can come forwards. And then we stabilize on the stance leg. The swing leg is just free to come forwards. Eyes lead the body into movement, and then the hip laterals pressing down, the sesamoids pressing up are powering the movement, and we can take that into a little run. Just a little jog around the room or around your mat if that's what you've got room for. And you could go sideways because it's a lovely bouncy movement, and crossways. So we've got the feet really working, the hips stay stabilized, everything is stabilized through the hips, iliacs working, hamstrings working, pubococcygeals working, and we can do a little bouncy run that will take us where we want to go. Okay, so everybody okay so far? Would anyone like to ask any questions about what we've done so far? Or is that okay? Anyone got any comments?
It's nice. It's putting all these ideas together in movement and just like feeling how much they integrated already, and just to modify and play around with that. It's nice.
Yes, it's lovely seeing that you all, of course, know exactly what you're doing when it else these things. It's so nice. Yes. Okay. Anyone else? Everybody okay? Anyone else want to say anything before we? Julia?
Yes, I just wondered if you could go over again the stepping up, the hip lifts, the hip hinges.
The hip lifts. Yes, of course. So
Just not too long, but just.
No, so you've got remember you've got your gluteus medius muscle there between the iliac crest and the greater trochanter. You're on your book, your feet are straight, and then that pulls down and that brings the other side up. So that muscle engages, it pulls the hip down towards the trochanter, towards the femur, and that itself lifts the other leg. You're remembering that one, okay, Julia? Now keep both legs straight. So keep the other leg straight.
It's just that transition after that. After that, this one's lifted.
Yes.
You just transition.
It's that pulling down that actually lifts the other leg.
Yeah.
Make sense?
Yeah.
Does that give you what you need?
Yes, thank you.
Yes, you're welcome. Anybody else want to check anything? Claire?
transferring the weight, and you mentioned about something about the inner thigh working to transfer. I can't remember the words used. But I think it was that I had such that my inner thigh needed to work the knee away or something.
Yes, that's right. So if a lot of people, they'll do a weight transfer like that.
Oh, okay.
So they'll just use the outside muscles, and it only weight transfers when we use the adductors, when that sort of leads the leg into that smooth transition, and then we don't get any sort of jerking around of the hips. We get the hips actually stay stable, and the inside of the leg leads the movement. So you really need to bend your knees. So it's that inside of the knee. It's a nice movement when you can find it, because it really sends the weight into the ground.
Do you keep your feet parallel in this, or are they turned out slightly?
No, they're turned out actually at the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
And Penelope,
Yes.
when you go from the heron, you have one leg up, and you do them backwards. Which part is leading now?
Now I'm getting my toes down, and actually I'm more using the deep hip rotators and the hamstring to draw me back.
Okay.
So I'm more using there to draw me back now.
But if I think from the back of the knee, it will get the same, isn't it?
Yes, it will actually, won't it? Because it works the hamstring. Yes.
Yeah.
So it's more the back of the knee, whereas this one's more the forwards.
Yeah.
If you can do it forwards, but then the danger of doing it with the feet forwards is that it becomes a bit quaddy, as it were. We don't want these guys working too hard. We want to keep it the adductors working, which is why for this I do tend to turn the feet out.
Yeah.
It's easiest to turn the foot out. And it's a very sort of Tai Chi move, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's Tai Chi does a lot of that sort of thing. Is that okay, Claire?
Yeah, I didn't have my feet turned out, but it's still the same actually.
Yeah, great.
And that the hip sticking out thing. Yeah, I get it.
Micah.
I have just a question. If you have a little tip on how to stretch the hip laterals, because I've done a lot of pelvic lifts and I feel they are getting quite not sore, but it's connected to the thoracolumbar fascia, and this is where I'm a little bit fragile at the moment, and so I just bend over and bend one leg and bend the other one and try to find the stretch. But do you have a special tip for that?
So, I mean, your hips are a little bit fluid at the moment, I guess, are they? And
possible.
Yes. So I think the more you keep the stability here, perhaps through the deep hip rotators and the iliacs and then see if you can really stabilize the area as you do the pelvic lifts. Does that help?
Well, I mean, I think it's pretty stable. I just feel that I've worked them so much that they need some stretch. And I wonder how to stretch them in a good way.
It was you that put the hand up, and I thought that was a nice thing to do.
Okay.
So, because you sort of, does that help to think that?
Yeah, that helped. I mean,
Does that do it, or because is it feeling tight in the?
It feels tight. It feels tight right here where the gluteus medius is actually when I come up, and it's just sore in that area here.
Right.
And so I don't know. I do this to I don't know like that to stretch it and to find.
Yes, as long as you don't collapse it, keep it. If you're doing that, really make sure that the side of the body is stretching up away from the knee going down, because all the time, as long as you've got the knee going down and the body going up, you're going to be opening that area up even as it's working.
Okay.
How does that sound?
That's a good advice.
Okay.
Can I suggest something?
Sorry?
Can I suggest something?
Yeah.
Maybe just taking the towel or the scarf and letting one, what we did, like the horse swing with one leg, and just really then with the swinging of the swinging leg, letting go of this side maybe would be nice.
Yes, that's a nice idea, Anadora. Thank you. So you're working one side and really letting go of the other side, and then working that side and really letting go of the other side. So you're neither just relaxing nor just tightening. That's nice. Thank you. Yes. Anyone else want to check anything? And then we'll lie down and do a bit of floor. Hannah, you okay then? Yeah, great.
I have some problems to follow because of the language, I think. So it's really fast and I have to, okay, okay. So I'm a bit later in understanding, I think. So
Yes.
sometimes you...
And I am trying to be aware of that actually. So apologies if I'm still going too fast. Irene, are you managing okay? Yeah. And Carolina, are you okay? Yeah. And yeah. So again, if I do go too fast, just wave at me, and we'll do this or something. Yeah. Okay. Right. Let's lie down on the floor. And again, if you can put your camera so that I can see you, would be great. And now it's up to you if you work with books in this sort of yoga stuff or not, but I think it is always nice to support the head into a lengthening place when we're lying down. So just starting in semi-supine and a bit of breathing. Can you hear me all right? Yeah, I'm assuming people can hear me all right. So just let's starting with the hands on the abdomen and just letting the breath flow back on the out breath. And just letting the breath flow back on the out breath. And let it find its own way in again. And letting the hands just float it up and down like a seagull, a bird on a wave. When the wave comes, the bird floats up. And when the wave passes, the bird flows down again. And then taking your attention a little bit inside so that the back wall of the belly is flowing back and up, just the back wall of the belly flowing back and up, so that you're getting that lengthening of the rectus abdominis, that deepest part of the rectus abdominis that attaches to the back of the pubic bone, because it's at that point, that deepest point, it's the back of the belly wall, the back of the front of the belly. It's the back layer of the 4 layers of belly muscle. And it's just falling back and up on the out breath. So it's coming that way. Just falling back and up on the out breath, finding that connection deep inside, and you can find in the guts too, falling back and up on the out breath. Back to the spine and back up along the spine, following the diaphragm, because the diaphragm is doming up towards the heart, and that will be drawing everything after it. And everything goes down and wide on the in-breath, and then back and up along the spine on the out-breath. Down and wide into the pelvic floor onto the in-breath, widening the hips. Don't let the knees fall apart though. The sesamoids, the ball of the big toe stays engaged so that the knees stay pointing forwards, even as the hips are widening. Down and wide on the in-breath. widening the pelvic floor, deepening the pelvic floor, back and up on the out breath. Back along the spine, the psoas engaging, and being aware of the rectus abdominis is gently pulling up towards the ribs, and the pubococcygeals are coming forwards. So engaging the pubococcygeals, down and wide on the in-breath, back and up on the out-breath. And as the pubococcygeals come forwards and the rectus abdominis falls back and the psoas falls back, so the backside will lift into the air, and we'll go into a bridge where the bum lifts up off the floor, but don't go pushing with the pelvis, just being aware that the pubococcygeals are rocking the pelvis forward so it comes up, and the deep hip rotators are working. The belly is still falling back. Staying there on the in-breath and just letting the shoulder blades widen and the hips widen. The breath is going right down into the feet, which are supporting you. And on the out breath, the rectus abdominis comes back, the psoas comes back, taking the bum back to the floor. And let's do it again. I'll just come and watch, check everybody's got it. So on the in-breath, it's down and wide into the pelvic floor. And on the out-breath, the belly is falling back and up, the psoas is coming back and up, the pubococcygeals are coming forwards, and that gently lifts the backside into the air. And the weight is coming right through into the legs. So it's not, there's no strain being taken in the back. Micah, this one apparently is very good for you, I'm told. So it's just letting that, there's a sense when you're up there of the belly just falling back, the legs are pouring away down into the feet, and the belly is pouring back. And then just widening and staying there one more breath, and then when you're ready, coming down again. You okay there, Irene? You understand it? Yep, good. That looks nice. And one more time, just finding that belly falling back on the out breath. Pubococcygeals come forwards. Lower body just curls gently and lifts into the air. The belly is falling back, and the thighs are pouring away from the body to the knees and down into the feet. This posture is also called 2-foot support because it's and there's no strain into the back. The belly is falling back. The glutes are working, the lower glutes are working. They're not tight, but they are working. And the legs are working down into the feet, and there's no strain in the back. Just everything widens on the in-breath, and then that out-breath falling back and up, again gently uncurls the back, rolls the back down onto the floor. And now let's work with the arms, just taking one arm down the side of the body along the floor, sending the fingertips away until the hand comes up in the air, and then when it comes overhead, being aware it's the upper, that the direction is along the top line of the arm, supporting that arm back towards the floor. The fingertips leading, but it's the back of the fingers. Only take the arm as far as it will comfortably go behind you, and then sending the hand away again along the floor until the arm comes back up into the air and comes back down beside the body. As it comes forwards, down below the body again, beside the body, that lower part of the It's the underside of the arm streaming away that supports the arm. Do it with the other hand when you're ready. The fingertips streaming away down, the fingers pushing away down the mat, and then the fingertips lengthening away, that underside of the arm and the hand leading the hand up into the air. And then as you come overhead, it's that top of the arm now, which is where you're sending the direction, so that you're preventing the body from the arm from falling. It's supported and supported and supported right back behind your head. It may or may not touch the floor. If it doesn't touch the floor, that's fine. And then sending that back of the arm away, the upper side of the arm away, the fingertips away, to support the arm in coming up, back up to the vertical, and then letting the underside of the arm support the arm as it comes down. And let's do the first arm again, sending the fingertips away, sending the hand. The hand will just go up into the air. Fingertips leading, getting the energy right through into the fingertips. The back of the arm now is supporting, now we're overhead, supporting, supporting. So at no point does the arm become heavy, even though it is working hard to be supported just off the ground behind the head. Back of the arm leading away, fingertips leading away to extend the arm up and away to bring it back overhead, and the arm coming down, supported then by the front of the arm. And the second arm again, the fingertips lengthening away. And the hand streaming up into the air, the fingertips leading, the fingertips uncurling. When we get to the vertical, swapping the directions to along the upper part of the arm and the fingertips, so that the hand is supported smoothly back behind the head, only as far as it can go without distortion, and it may or may not touch the floor, and then lengthening the fingers away to bring the hand up again, remembering to breathe, of course, and the arm comes back down. I didn't remember, just do that one more time, and this time put the other hand on your rib cage, so that as the hand comes up, you're checking that at no point does the rib cage arch. You're just keeping that sense that everything can widen and flatten and come back to the mat, even as the arm comes up. At all points, there is no arching of the back. So just doing the movement on both sides. Again, just, there we go. And then we just check the second side again, checking that there is no arching of the back. The hand is on the rib, one hand is on the rib cage, and the other hand is coming up in the air. And just checking, particularly as you come overhead, that there is absolutely no arching of the rib cage, although it is stretched, of course, when one comes overhead. But it's not arching the back off the mat. And now both arms together. Sending the fingertips away, sending the arms up into the chair, into the air, iliacs back, ribs back, sesamoid bones on the floor, knees stay parallel, and still the back doesn't arch, even as both arms come right back behind the head. And still the body can breathe, just stay there and breathe a moment. Just finding that widening of the shoulder blades, widening of the back, even in this rather stretched position. Everything can still widen. And then the fingers lead to bring the arms back and up, keeping the rib cage down, ribs back, iliacs back, sesamoids on the floor. Everything stays back and up. And just putting the feet out to the side so that the knees out to the side, the soles of the feet together, so that your legs are in a triangle, or a diamond shape rather. And then do the same again. The arms are going to come up, and it's a bit harder to keep the back from arching in this position. So just, again, working to keep the ribs down, iliacs down, body stays breathing, bringing the arms behind the head. And again, just see if you can breathe there for a moment, just opening the back. You won't get the same expansion in the lumbar spine, but just being aware of what expansion you can find. Right down into the hips, into the shoulders, into the ribs, into the elbows perhaps. Everything is widening. And then sending the arms away to bring them down again. And for those who want, you can actually try doing a bridge in this position, just thinking the pubicoccygeals coming forwards, the iliacs staying back, and just seeing if you can come up into a little bridge, bringing the backside off the ground. And staying there with a moment for a breath, the belly is falling back. Letting the belly fall back, and then everything curling back onto the floor again. And for those who can, let's do that one more time. Just those who can't can either do a standard bridge or just letting the pubicoccygeals come forwards, and the belly falls back even as the arms are coming up. Belly is falling back on an out breath. Pubicoccygeals coming forwards, coming up into a bridge. The knees are still out to the side. Letting everything widen and breathe. Breathing right through into the knees, right through into the hips, right through into the pelvic floor. And then letting it all, the back uncurl down again. And the arms come back down. And bringing the knees up again. And let's just follow that by bringing the knees over the body. Hands on the knees, fingers pointing down. And just on the out breath, let the legs be drawn a little bit into you. So this is a counter pose. We're just uncurling the spine after a strenuous bridge, and just letting the out breath draw the legs in towards you. The psoas is lengthening up and back. On the in breath, letting the legs go away again, the hands going with them, the elbows just extending gently. And on the out breath, back and up along the spine, and the legs are drawn in, the active hip fold. The psoas is working, the belly stays relatively soft. The legs puff away again on the in-breath, and again on the out-breath, just letting those legs be drawn back in by the psoas, coming back and up, the out-breath, back and up. Everything just lengthening, keeping the knees parallel, not letting the knees fall out. Even as the hips are widening, keeping the knees parallel. One last time, just drawing the legs in. And keeping the iliac spines back, the psoas engaged as the legs come away this time, and releasing one leg at a time, keeping that tone going as the leg lowers slowly back to the floor so there is no dropping. The leg just extends slowly back to the floor, just lowers back, and then the second leg as well, just lowering it slowly back to the floor. And just extend one leg down now. Away from you, the other leg stays bent. And the arms come back overhead. On the in-breath, the arms come overhead. And on the out-breath, find that belly coming back and up, and bring the leg up with you as the hands come down. On the out-breath, no, on the in-breath, sorry, the arms come up and the leg goes down. And on the out-breath, take that back and up, send the heel away, and the leg will come up in the air. On the in-breath, the leg comes down again, the heel sending away strongly so that at no point does the leg drop. And again, the belly ideally stays relatively soft. We're not doing this from the quads, we're doing it from the psoas. So there's no huge tightening of the quads and the belly muscles. Everything is staying relatively soft. There is, of course, a lot of work being done in this. And sending that leg away along the floor so that the back of the leg sends that leg up into the air. And then lowering that leg, bending that leg back down, and sending the other one away straight. And again, send the heel away, toe up to the ceiling. Bring the legs, the arms overhead first on the in-breath, and then on the out-breath, back and up with the psoas, send the heel away and bring the leg up, straight up into the air. On the in-breath, the heel sends away and the leg can come down. And on the out-breath, back and up, but the heel goes away. Bring the leg up into the air and the front of the leg stays soft. There's no tightening into the hip. There's no tightening into the quad. The rectus abdominis stays soft. It's working, of course, but it's not crunching. That's it. And gently bringing that leg back to meet the other one in semi-supine. Now rolling over into child's pose, just taking the eyes across and the fingertips across and the hand across and just tipping over into child's pose. And we just finish with the head on the floor, backside releasing back, that active hip fold, enabling the bum to go a bit closer perhaps to the heels than it might or normally do. And just being aware of the breath into the back. Breath across the shoulder blades, breath out into the elbows, breath down into the posterior iliac spines even and the back of the pelvic floor. Everything widening. And when you're ready, the crown of the head leads away forwards. The head lengthens, the neck lengthens. And if the head keeps lengthening up, the arms will just be drawn, the spine comes up, the arms will just be drawn back until we come to kneeling. And we can then come up to kneeling up and bring one leg forward, tuck the back toe under, roll the raindrop and send ourselves back up to straight. Let's come back and share. So, anyone like to comment? Anyone like to ask questions? Julia, yes.
Yes, I have difficult to sort of describe it when you're thinking of lying down, but actually it's that coming down from the bridge when you suggested you go through the spine. So, you curve each bit down, which I think is just a lovely movement for the spine. But I'm wondering about how you avoid any kind of crunching, or not crunching, but restriction of the top joint, really. I mean, I wasn't able to watch you at the same time as I suppose I should have watched how you do it.
Well, let's have a just, I'm not quite sure why it's coming about, so let's just the rolling down out of bridge. So,
yeah, what you do at the last point, where where as you come down, yeah, it sort of seems like there might be a constriction as one comes to flatten out.
I have to say I'm not aware of that.
No.
It's not an issue for me. I would have thought if by widening the shoulders, it might make, if you keep the width here, it does
Yes.
stop it come up.
Yes, that's a good idea.
Yes. Yes. Have a play and see if that resolves it. But I think to me, it's more at the top that there's a bit more pressure on the head. But I'm not aware of a restriction there. Is anybody else aware of a restriction at the base of the neck at that one?
I don't know that I'm aware of it. I'm just thinking, how does it's got to flow, I suppose. So one doesn't stop.
Yes, and one does want the whole spine.
Yeah,
all those 86 little facet joints all working away.
If you stop the flow, I think there might be. That's maybe what I was thinking. If you stopped in the middle,
yes,
the neck wouldn't necessarily follow.
Yes, I mean, to me, the more one can keep the breath flowing all the way through, all the time, so that it is I think the Iyengar yoga that sort of take a pose and hold it and don't talk about breath, it can all get a bit rigid, and it's a bit sort of warrior energy a bit. Whereas I think we're always looking to find that everything is flowing, everything is moving at all times.
Yeah,
that to me is one of the things. So play with that and see if that's yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Micah.
Can you? I realize when I come up into the bridge, even if it's a small one, I cannot continue breathing into the pelvis when I'm up. Can you do that? Can you maintain the space
Yes.
in the pelvis when you go up with it?
Well,
Okay.
I can, but I've been working at it for years. So, yeah. I mean, it took a long time for me not to let the pressure come into the back. I think if the back starts to feel a bit restricted, that will block the flow into the pelvis. So the more one can work with those pubococcygeals coming up and the muscles on the inside staying back and long, that keeps the back long, and that means the breath can then flow. Does that fit with everybody else's, with other people's experience there? Yeah.
When it's very small, it's very possible, but as soon as it becomes a little bit bigger and the legs get involved, then it stops kind of.
So maybe, and so always stay at the point at which you can maintain it, and don't go to the point where it blocks. It's very tempting to do a lovely big bridge, and I know I would have been guilty of that in the past, but it is much better to stay with the point where everything can flow, and then it can ease out at that point and start building. And the same, of course, with the squats, you know, as we've said before, don't go beyond the point where you can actually keep the form, as they say in the gyms. Yeah, it's frustrating, I know. Yes, go on.
I liked in this one when the start of the movement is the letting of the belly back and up, and like the dropping of the belly is initiating the movement of the puricoccygeal. And if you go with this flow of this moment and don't interfere because you want to push it or you want to go somewhere and it just carries out, I think then you can stay open.
I think you're absolutely right there. That's it. Because you've already engaged the pelvic floor in the movement, in the flow of the movement, and then ideally it stays. So just work with that, Micah, even if it's only a micro movement, just work with that, and that can start opening it up. Yeah. How was everybody else on that one? And what about, now, Carolina, what have you done to your leg? It was me asking whether anyone had got a broken back, and you've actually got your leg in a cast.
Yeah, I strained it.
Is it the Achilles you've strained? Oh.
No, it's the ankle here and the ligaments that somehow they are involved.
Right, that explains why you weren't bouncing.
Yeah.
Okay. Right, okay. You're okay though. Yes, good. Yeah, thank you for telling us that. Yes. Anybody else like to share or?
I really like this movement with the arms, the leg out and the arms up, and then coming back on the out breath. It was completely effortless. It was really like I don't feel my abdomen muscles, not at all. It's really it's just happening. It's great.
Yes, yes. All this hard work they do in gyms, tightening everything. I mean, it's such a waste of time, and it's so when the body can just fly. I mean, why not fly? Yeah, thank you.
All in this sequence.
Now, am I pitching the right balance of aerobic here? Do people want more bouncing around, or is that enough bouncing around that we did today? I get out of puff, so I sort of measure it partly on my own puff. I mean, the last 6 months have been pretty punishing for me, so I've not got very much puff, and I feel like I'm recovering now. And this is, as I say, it's to help me as much as you guys get myself back again after all the editing of the book, which was just too much sitting at computers, particularly the index. Anyone else feeling like that, or are you all a bit more, you haven't had to sit at a computer for 6 months? Anyone else like to comment on the balance of things? Hard enough, too hard, not hard enough, aerobic enough? Because we sort of work this sort of balance next week and so on, and we'll carry on to different movements next week and play. Yeah. Any comments on?
Yeah. So I liked it a lot, and I mean it was a crash course through the last year, which is very good. And so that's why the tempo was okay. But if it's new movements,
yes,
it should be more breath between, and yeah.
Yes. Okay. I think most of the moves we will have covered either in the beginner or the advanced course. I don't think I'm going to pull any great surprises on you. We'll be working with what we've done before, but just, you know, taking it further.
Yeah, I mean, it's ridiculous that you think so. We worked 1 year for this, and you can do it in 1 hour.
Yes.
Yeah, but you couldn't. You couldn't do it in 1 hour. It was just.
Of course you can.
Yeah, okay.
Well, you have the recording now, so you can do it
Yeah.
yourself a few times between. So
I mean,
and I'm
we-
hoping you will.
1 year ago and doing it in 1 hour. That's what Hannes just said. It would have
Yes, and it's amazing, isn't it? As you say,
Yeah.
we revised the whole thing in 1 hour. Yeah, quite. So, you know, but it fits, doesn't it? It fits the body and it does flow.
Yeah, but it's there's many connections we did, and it needs time to make these connections. And if you get it and you want to get it back, it's just a blink of an eye, and it can be there. And that's why we can go like this. And it's very good to have the whole piece.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
I like that. It's
Yes.
good. Very good.
This will tell you nothing about how to introduce it to beginners, but you know, but this is where one is aiming to get people to the point where you know, one students could do this flow. I think that's something we're aiming for, not just for ourselves, but for our pupils. Yeah.
Yeah, I like it that now the focus is not on how to teach, but like taking it for myself and just putting it in movement and building it everything in, and that's nice. And I agree with Hannes. If all these movement hadn't been prepared and worked through, it would have been far too quick. But like this, it's just like a reminder of everything that we did.
And you're using it, and you're working it, and you're using it. That's right. Yeah. Okay. So, anyone else like to say anything before we finish? It's so nice to see everybody's faces. Thank you, Tina. I'm so pleased you could be here. And Nina joined this afternoon. She sent me a message at lunchtime. So that was great, Nina. Yeah.
Thank you very much. It was well worth being here with you. Thank you.
So, see you.
Are you gonna send us the recording so we can watch it later on?
Yes.
It's gonna be on your site or in our email, like.
It'll be like we did in the first course. It'll be a YouTube link. Again, as I said in the email, please don't share it on. Not that anyone else could follow it. I mean, we could only follow it because we've all done this year's work. So, but yes, this is for you guys. So, yeah, so it'll come as a YouTube link, and you can open your own YouTube folder labeled fitness course. Yeah. Okay. So, anyone else need to ask anything? So, see you all in 3 weeks. So 3 weeks, and then after that it'll be 2 weeks. So yeah. Okay.
Great. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Penelope.
You all.
Thank you. Great to see everyone.
Yeah.
Love you.
Bye.